Well, my first thoughts, I think, were I was curious to find out more about the data and what was in it. And I thought almost right away that this would be really important for IBC to do. So I was very much for doing it and participating. Well, what we use is essentially various factors that are in the report, such as where it occurred, when it occurred. And we search our database on those days in that province and look for similar events, trying to find the appropriate match. In the case of the biggest events, usually it's fairly easy to find the match. But when you start getting into the smaller events, there can be many, many possible matches, and you have to look at every available detail in the reports to really find the appropriate one. There are some cases where there are several possible matches, and what we've done so far is basically write down, if there are 3 possible matches, write down each of those 3, and that becomes our determination there. I would say that that's a minority of cases, but those always come up where you can't really tell because there are so many similar things in the same area on the same day. So the largest things tend to match most of the time. Sometimes when you're looking at the biggest incidents, it can be in the range of 95 to 100%. But when you go down into the smaller cases, then that can drop to 70%. Depending on whether you're talking about matches of deaths or matches of incidents, it can vary, sometimes lower than that. But the most often case where things are new and can't be matched is in the cases where it's 1 or 2 or 3 people killed in the regular daily events like shootings, checkpoint killings, things of this sort that often go unreported. So far, we've come to an estimate from the sample we've looked at of approximately 15,000 new civilian deaths, which is mainly civilian deaths and a small portion also, around 2,000 or so, of police and other Iraqi security forces that were killed after capture that we also include in our database. And then from the total, when we add in the combatant data that we normally don't include and look at the whole, we come to a total figure of about 150,000 killed so far. I mean, there's a lot of detailed information in the logs about the names of victims, their occupations, their ages, genders, all things of this sort. A lot of details that were not present. I mean, one case that we put in our report is on one day in November 2006, we had a report of 35 bodies found over the course of November 1st, 2006 in Baghdad, which had no details about any of the victims and only had a general cause of death where people were executed by gunfire. And when we looked in the logs, it had a breakdown of over 20 incidents of bodies found in Baghdad with specific neighborhoods, specific victims, often named with ages, genders, and so that one single incident with very little information will likely become over 20 incidents with very highly detailed information. In our case, we're adding the names of people who have been killed. So in this instance, we don't believe that that poses a risk when someone has been killed. We never publish information on living victims or informants or anything of this nature. So on that issue, I don't believe that we're going to be publishing anything that would require red action. And we never publish any raw data. Everything we have published has been processed by the IBC team to have the details that we collect extracted and published in a uniform way on our website.